I want to talk about how there's not much we can actually change in academia. I know that there's a lot of sort of institutional changes and things like that that we can go towards, and positive changes, but that change is not necessarily going to happen quickly. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and the thing that I actually want to change is how we feel about ourselves um, within academia, within the research game, within the work that we actually do. And it's something that I think is very important that we consider, that it's really thinking about the work that we have right now, or the stuff that we have right now. There's lots of stuff that are in our control, but there's a lot of stuff that's really not in our control. And that stuff that's outside of our control is, our locus of control is, yeah, lots of it is pretty craptacular. Some of it's pretty good, but a lot of it's pretty craptacular. You just have to learn to, you know, think about what is the stuff that I can actually control and what can I actually do with the stuff that I can control. And one of the biggest things is just, being happy with who you are and having that, positive belief that you can do something over time. And I kind of actually want to talk about that. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I stumbled on that one. Uh, I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out. Um, it's important to think about this, and this is where I'm sort of thinking where the whole reciprocity project has evolved to. So, I really, when I first started the whole reciprocity project, it was really like, um, it was aimed at providing tools that allow us to write better, because I thought it was like our um, I remember the day going into my chair's office and asking for, some help, and, that they didn't have the money available. So I got a big no. So then I was like, well, hell, I can build this thing. And I started building a tool. I convinced my wife to pay. And it was a lot of convincing. It wasn't just like snip, or, snap and everything happened. It was it was a lot of money, right? To do these things. It's a heck of a lot of money. We're sort of still contributing to it. So I started building this out and build a tool, put it on the internet, and it helped, to help me to write. And nobody was using it. And I thought that this was like a super cool tool, but I didn't understand the internet. I didn't understand what people don't go to the internet looking for tools. They're looking for help. They're talking about like their innermost thoughts, their struggles and things. And so somebody told me to go onto YouTube, and so I started doing these sort of instructional videos at the beginning, and then over time it evolved to realize that people were looking for deeper things. They're deeply, a lot of people are very, what are discovers, a lot of people are really deeply sad with their situation within, academia, research, and the life. And it really does, the, the university system, research system really does make people sad. I hate to say it. You know, think about all the things that make people happy, right? Like being around people, um, um, feeling like you're part of a larger contribution, um, feeling like, that you have a sense of belonging. All of these things don't necessarily, especially early on, especially when nobody knows who you are. Um, then none of that stuff happens in academia and the research, in any sort of research career, right? Where we are trained to be in the sort of, what do they call it again? The sort of disinterested bystander, right? So we're irrelevant. Um, we work by ourselves largely. Many of us work by ourselves. Some people work in groups, but that's still, even if you work in groups, you're still working by yourself a lot of time. Um, you don't really have a sense of belonging because you don't, the career takes 30 years by the time people start recognizing your contributions, what you've done. Like, there's so many different things that make us deeply unhappy, and we have to sort of figure out, like, what are we doing here? um so a lot of academics, a lot of researchers turn to substance abuse in various different ways. I manage it with, I manage the stress and anxiety and all that kind of stuff with exercise. Now I'm being really open about it. These kind of things, you can see, that's why I walk all the time. That's why I exercise. I swim. I do things like that to sort of manage all of this. And we have all of these, different coping mechanisms, but nobody's talking about it openly, and nobody is saying, "Hey, you know what you're experiencing at this moment is very real, and there's a lot of things that go on, and nobody's giving that sort of reassurance of, like, man, you're experiencing all of these kind of things, and you're totally normal to feel like all of this kind of stuff. But then at the same time, you know, not only nobody's sort of giving this reassurance, but also nobody's really kind of like walking you through and helping you out. So some people are very fortunate to have great, advisors and mentors, and other people, colleagues. Maybe they have parents. A lot of people have parents in academia that sort of help them through. Um, but there's nobody that's like for those people, which is the majority. Remember, there's the world is large. The majority of the people don't have any resources like that, and are just walking them through and saying, "Hey, you you're totally normal. You're experiencing all of these things. It happens to most people." And then, what do you do in this circumstance? How do you get through this, right? Like, what is it that you should do, or how you should feel? Um, and a lot of it is realizing the world bloody sucks. Um, like, there's a lot of things that you can't change, and the world bloody sucks, and you can't change that stuff. But what you can change is how you feel about yourself. Um, you know, what are you doing to do those things to make sure that you feel okay? And so it becomes um, a you against the world story. And there's nothing more magical and amazing where you're telling the narrative, where it is you against the world. You're that hero. You're that person that is going into the dark wilderness, and you're tackling those things. If you can get that going on, where you're changing things for the better for yourself, and you're tackling this, like, not great world, um, and you could do so much, and you get out and you feel kind of happy that you're actually doing it, and it's maybe not perfectly happy, but you do feel pretty good about doing this. So, practicing this, practicing your hero narrative, and what that is, I think that's like super important. Nobody's going to treat you right. Like, there is, or a fraction of the people are going to treat you right and be nice. A fraction of the people, those people are going to be nice to you to your face, but then behind your back, they're going to be like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." But you got to be okay with the fact that, hey, you know what? You're living your life. You actually are a decent person inside. Um, don't let that stuff affect you. Don't let that stuff make you down. You be the amazing person that you actually are. I think that this is it's easier. I know that this is easier said than done, right? And that's why it requires so much repetition and so much, you know, um, just listening to somebody deal with this and being open with it. Man, I'm all of this stuff's very real, and I'm walking through my thoughts as I go through the day to day, and as I'm going into work right now. Um, how I'm thinking about this, and I think it's healthy for everybody to know that they're not normal, or that that they're normal, but also that they can make these positive changes. And it's not a bunch of like fluffy guru kind of stuff, but it is like sitting there and thinking like, hey, today's the day. I'm not gonna, put up with this. I'm gonna try to be a positive person, and that positivity is not about fluffy rainbows and unicorns. It's like I can do this, and I can repeatedly do this. I can get up. There's going to be lots of bad days, but there's going to be days that I can actually do, really, truly do this. Um, and the days that are going to count the most, it's like when you're working out, the days that count the most are always your worst days, because you got up and you did it anyways. You didn't feel like doing it, and it did not feel great when you did it. You might be sore, but you did it anyways. And you know knowing that you're just going to get up and do it and put in the work, no matter what's going on, and you're going to be happy doing that, and you're going to treat other people nicely when you're doing that. You're going to, if they come in and want to talk to you, you're going to give them you know time, and you're going to be empathetic with them, and you are a decent person, dude, or dudette. That's all that counts. And, at the end of the day, that really is all that counts. All that other stuff, accumulating wealth, um, in the research career, getting more publications, all of that stuff does not matter. It's not going to matter in the end. People might try to sort of praise that, and the system is all sort of aligned in that way, but disregard. I'm telling you, it's going to eat you up unless you're that top person at the top. Disregard. Just do it because you're a good person. Um, and you know what? You're never the top person at the top. There's always somebody that's better than you. Focus on what you can control and be okay with that. Every day, smile and be a good person. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.